Welcome, everyone, to the post-game reaction show where we'll be celebrating a huge Buffalo Bills win today. Bills, big game, week 14, take down the New York Jets. It wasn't pretty, but it's a W, and we'll take it all the time. We are 10-3. Last year at this time, we were 7-6. And man, I couldn't be more proud of this team. It was definitely a struggle today, and this Jets team is good. We said this last time we played them. They're a very good team. Before we get into details, obviously you might see Mr. Jake Podger. He is missing. We're hoping to get him on. Apparently there's some internet issues going on in the Buffalo area. He's had issues the last couple days. Hopefully he'll be able to join us soon, and we'll bring him on at that point. With us tonight, there is nobody cooler than Mr. Sean Kula from the Red, White, and Bills YouTube channel. Get over to this man's channel and smash that subscribe button. Give him a like, give him a comment. Over here, down below on the bottom, Mr. Brett McDurphy from the Go Bills podcast. Again, we call him the young gun. He is the young gun. He is killing it these days. Get over to his channel, smash that subscribe button, and give him a like. So guys, first off, before we talk about all the good things and some of the ugly things that we saw today, let's give some kudos. The Jets fans, let's just give some kudos to this Jets team. I mean, they played a damn good game. And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for a few bad breaks, losing Quinnen Williams, losing Corey Davis early in the game, that I don't know what play Mosley made on 4th and 1, extending the drive for us right before half, who knows what this game turns out to be. Mike White, man, you guys got a gem in him. I know we played him last year and we beat him up pretty good. But this guy's legit, man, and he's bringing a whole different tool set to your team. He's getting the ball down the field to these receivers. He actually outgunned Josh Allen today. He put up more yards. The big difference with Josh can run and extend the play. I didn't see that much from Mike White, but man, he got beat up. He got knocked out a couple times in this game, and my favorite call of the game from Romo is that Daniel. What is his name? What's the Daniel from the Karate Kid? Daniel Lucero. You guys remember the guy's name from the Karate Kid?
No.
Tony Romo's like, oh man, I have it here. Where is it? He goes, where is it? Anyhow, the guy from the Karate Kid, when he got the leg sweep, they all thought he was done, right? They bring him into the game, and Tony Romo's like, he's coming back, just like the Karate Kid, back in the game. And Mike White, so impressive, guys. That just shows me the toughness that kid has. And again, this game could have gone either way if it wasn't for a few breaks. I mean, Quinnen Williams had 2 sacks. He was destroying our offensive line before he went out. And of course, Corey Davis had a nice catch when he got hurt. So big, some bad breaks. But again, I expect to see this team in the playoffs. I believe they're a playoff team, and we may see them for a third time. So Jets fans, hold your heads up high. You have a damn good team. All right, let's get into it. So, Sean, I'm going to throw it to you, and I'm going to ask you, where do you want to start? Let's all just talk about different things we want to start with. And let me throw it to you. You're up top here on the right, and you're going to start things off. What do you want to talk about first, man?
Just one, not a big ramble, just pick one thing.
Yeah, pick one thing. We'll go around. We're gonna talk about all kinds of things tonight, but where do you want to start?
I have a lot I want to say, but I don't know if I want to start with something good or something where I'm not happy with. I need your help, Mike. What should I should I do positive or negative?
Let's do this. Let's start with positive right now, and then we'll get in this. Let's do that. Let's start with where do you want to start for the positive things, and then we'll get into some negative things.
Well, I mean, honestly, I thought this was the best. Again, I said the defensive line has been great all season, every game, but this was the best game overall they played, and they didn't even have Von Miller in it. I mean, we probably got 10 quarterback hits, 20-something pressures, 4 sacks. Rousseau had 2 sacks. Like, this defensive line, 2 pass deflections. I think Rousseau had a pass deflection. Epinesa had maybe 2 or 1 at least, and one of them was to close out the game. So we didn't get the sack to close out the game, but Epinesa was the closer today. And Shaq Lawson got a sack. I missed, his signature move, hand behind the back, high knees. I missed the Shaq Lawson move. But, man, this defensive line was more than what we expected of them today, and they really showed out. So they've been excellent all season, every game, but that was the best moment of the game was just how great the defensive line played all throughout.
Yeah, I agree. And did you mention Rousseau had 2 sacks?
Yeah, Rousseau had 2 sacks. Yeah. Epinesa had 1, and Lawson had 1. And
one of my bold predictions yesterday was that Rousseau would get 3. I thought I had it when Shaq got him. When Shaq got his sack, I was like, that's Rousseau. But no, that 90 looked like a 50 to me. Really. Let's check in with Jake. Jake, is things working for you over there, man?
I don't know what's going on, Mike. I mean, this is like 2 days in a row that I've had internet issues, and it's the whole house. It's not just like my laptop. So, and it's even worse because everything in our house is like, it's based off of internet. Like we stream everything. Like I'm a little ticked off, to be honest, because I pay for like the top package for Fios. I've never had any issues. In the last 2 days, like during our show, both times it's been an issue. So I'm going to have to call Fios and figure out what's going on. I don't know if there's like a line down or if something's going on because I've never had an issue before. So I'm on my phone right now. So I apologize if you have some poor audio for me. I don't know how I even sound. I tried connecting to my hotspot. It didn't really work out either. So here we are.
All right, Jake. Well, it sounds pretty good. So
okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
We'll get back to you here in a few.
Sounds good.
So, Brett, let me throw it to you. Talk to me about something good that you saw today that you were really, happy about with what you saw with the Bills team.
I got to say the hurdles today. That's the biggest thing I noticed was the amount of hurdles that we saw and the amount of exciting plays that we saw from the Bills offense. I mean, the one play where Josh hurdled over a defender to get the first down on 3rd down, I was so excited to see that. And then when Dawson Knox had the big carry and had got the first down, and then he extended the play where he was able to jump over a defender, get the touchdown, and then get the Bills the first score of the game. That made me so happy because Sean and I and you guys were talking about it, and we said the first one to score during the game was going to win the game, and that's how the outcome came to be. And just to see the Dawson and all that he's been throughout the season, losing his brother before the season, and his numbers have been going down, but finally he's starting to get into a rhythm in this offense. It only excites me even more because that's another weapon for Josh to be able to target throughout this playoff run that we're going to be going on. And I think he'll be a matchup nightmare in the playoffs too.
All right. Yeah, I totally agree. Jake, let me throw it to you. We're just talking about some positives right now. We're going to get into the bad, the ugly that we saw today, some of that, but we're celebrating a big win. Like I said, you missed it, kicked it off with like, hey, it wasn't pretty, but we'll take a W over a pretty win, a pretty, game. And as long as it's a W, I'm saying it wrong because I'm excited, but as long as it's a win, we'll take it every day. We're 10-3, baby, 10-3. So, Jake, what did you see that was good today that you were happy with what you saw on the field?
Yeah, I would say, 100. I would say the defensive line across the board. You guys probably already talked about that quite a bit, but man, I mean, it was like,
about it more.
Yeah, I think, going into this game, like the last game we played against the Jets, we got totally bullied up front and just out-physicaled completely. I think there were obviously some moments where it didn't totally appear like we were winning the line of scrimmage, but I think for the most part, man, I mean, we just absolutely dominated. Greg Rousseau had a monster day. The interior ate up. Daquan Jones had a nice day. It was just awesome to see. Eddie Oliver a little quieter today, but hey, I'll take it. I think everyone on that defensive line deserves some props, and we got it done up front, that's for sure. So pretty happy with the performance from the D-line. I think out of any position group, they played by far the best game of football today. So that was awesome to see. I mean, the hurdle by Josh, that got us juiced up too. And, I think people are still obviously very concerned whenever Josh runs the football, but man, there's something to be said about when he gets a run like that. It gets the whole team fired up, and then it seems like we start putting together play-by-play after that to follow. So I don't necessarily mind it as much as a lot of other people probably despise it. I think for us, it's a good thing. It gets the offense flowing a little bit, gets them going, gets them juiced up. So, I think those are just a couple of good takeaways. And then Mr. Tyler Bass, listen, you don't love seeing kickers come out there and kick field goals, but it was tough out there. The conditions, you saw it on TV. Snow was coming down. It's windy in that stadium as it is. But for him to put through those 2 field goals, those were big field goals. So got to give him a shout out as well. And Slippery Sam Martin, of course, there was the block punt, but man, he had some really, really good punts to start off the game. It was actually the first game since like 2016 where it started off with 10 straight punts. So not great. Again, not a pretty game at all by any means, but we got it done. And everyone was always talking about how the Bills couldn't win these close, tight, hard-fought games. And the last couple of wins we've had, they've been just that. They've been in that category. So I think obviously you're never going to please everyone. It's either, one or the other. It's like we should be blowing a team out or we can't win the close ones. So now we're starting to win these close ones, and they're not super pretty, but a win's a win, and we're 10-3. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. I totally agree. Sean, I want to follow up on the defense. While they had a fantastic game, something that's been a recurrent theme all year are these 3rd and longs that were given up. We must have given up, I think it was 4 or 5 3rd and longs today, and it's been happening all season. Your defense does a fantastic job in 1st and 2nd, and it's just frustrating when they just can't bring it home. So what's going on? What's your take there?
I don't know. I think it's just execution, because you're phenomenal the 1st and 2nd down. You got 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 18, and no matter what, you give it up. So it's like, and I feel the secondary, they're not playing tight. They're just like, oh, they're not going to throw it 20 yards to get a 1st down, and they're kind of playing lazy. And then, or if the defensive line isn't getting pressure, the secondary just gets beat. So I feel like it's just execution, because we've seen them execute 1st and 2nd down. Why can't you get a 3rd down stop? You want to get off the field. And, that's always my issue, is like, you score a touchdown. So when we scored getting close to the end of the half, 7-0, the Jets get the ball back first. You go 3 and out there, and then you get the ball back and you score again. In that kind of weather, the game, is pretty much over at that point, because all the pressure you're applying on the other team. But when you're giving up 3rd down, 3rd and long, and they score a touchdown, then they really deflate you. So I think it's just execution, though. Could be a little bit of coaching, because I do feel like they do tend to play soft in the zone a little bit. And I don't know if it's like it was Trey White getting frustrated at how soft they were playing near the end, but you can see like when they give up those open passes, he just like throws his hands in the air like, come on. So I don't know if it was just like Leslie Frazier's like, hey, play a little bit light. So let him catch the ball, waste time, and we're going to bend and don't break. I don't think a lot of guys like playing that way. I feel like that's kind of why they give up a lot of big gains, is because of the bend and don't break mentality, and they just don't buckle down hard enough. But it definitely needs to be changed, because if like Mike White and Zach Wilson and Tua Tagovailoa and all these people are beating you on 3rd and long, what are you going to do when Joe Burrow and Pat Mahomes are in the playoffs and it's 3rd and 15 and you're giving that up? Yeah. I mean, it's got to be fixed, but I think it's mainly execution.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, we had that big play in the Minnesota game, right? The game was over, 4th and like 18, something ridiculous. I forget what it was. Maybe even been more than 18, and they gave up that big play to extend the drive. So let me ask you this. Let me follow up. Jake, I know we're going to talk to you as long as we can until we lose you. But Jake, what's your assessment of Trey White? This is his 3rd game back. It wasn't just Dane Jackson getting beat today. Trey was on some of those pass coverages as well. But what's your assessment of him, and what'd you see from him today? And obviously he's not where he was last year, but that's going to take time. But talk to me about what you're seeing from Trey right now.
I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to kind of get back into the swing of things. He played against a really good receiver in Garrett Wilson. He was shadowing him a lot today. And, the Jets have good weapons. Corey Davis is really good. Thank God he went out of the game early, because I don't know, man, if Corey Davis was still in the game, it may have been a different story, because he was making plays out there. He made a really nice grab, and, boy, the way he came down, that was a little scary. But, man, they have good weapons. It's not like we're playing against the Patriots like last week where, obviously it looks like all of our corners were superstars because we didn't allow anything, really, no big plays at all. And I think the Jets are a different ball team. They're pretty good offensively, honestly. They have some really good weapons. Garrett Wilson is a stud. He's a really good football player, really good receiver. Again, as I mentioned, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Braxton Berrios had a really nice catch today too. So I won't put all of that on Trey. I think Trey is, slowly but surely getting back to football shape, form, etc. There's nothing that can truly replicate game day. So I'm going to give Trey a pass. I don't think it was his best game by any means, but definitely wasn't as bad as Dane Jackson. I can tell you that for sure. And I think Trey, I'm not at all worried. I think he's going to be just fine. I think he's still going to be an elite corner. Right up until this game, he was locked down for the most part. And I know he hasn't played a ton, but he played more snaps last game against New England, and then obviously this game he played all the snaps. So,
which was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that's a step, I think, in the right direction alone. So while I think some people are like, expecting more, it was good to see him out there. He made a couple tackles as well. I think the physicality is a big piece as well, especially when you have a big injury. So, I'm not at all concerned. I think he played an okay game. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just so-so for the most part. So. But am I worried? Absolutely not.
I mean, I will say about Trey, I don't think he played bad at all. I think most of the catches Wilson had were just slant routes, and that's when you're playing in a zone.
Yeah.
That's going to beat you every time.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're playing 7 yards off the receiver. He runs a 2-yard slant, and then he takes it for 7 yards. I mean, that's just what the Jets were doing because that's how great of an athlete Wilson is. He can get a little bit of speed on you, get a couple extra yards, and I mean, nobody really took you over the top on that offense. I mean, Wilson's a great receiver, but it's not like he was going 50-50 ball with Trey and beating him every time. It was just slant route, and, it worked out for him. But, I mean, Dane Jackson was just – you mentioned Dane Jackson. I'm like, why was he playing and not Elam? But I'm sure we'll get to that. To that.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up. I was going to throw that to Brett. So, on Jake and I's pregame show, we were talking about that. Who is cornerback number 2? And I guess both of us were wrong. We felt that Dane Jackson had maybe fallen back. And it would either be Xavier Rhodes, who was inactive, strangely, or Kaiir Elam. But let me ask you, Brett, what's going on with Kaiir? Because, again, now I'm super concerned. He was active for the game. I haven't been able to see if he had any snap counts. Did any of you see him on the field today at all?
Nope. Not one.
No, I saw him.
Special team.
I didn't see him on the field for the defense, but I mean, I saw him like warming up on the sidelines and everything. He looked okay, but I don't know if maybe the injuries that he has is just bothering him, and the Bills are trying to be cautious or what. But I do think that you got to put Kaiir out there. He's the only way that he's going to get experience right now, especially as a first-round pick, is by putting him out on the field. And even with Dane Jackson, he has taken a step back this year, and he's regressed quite a bit. But I would love to have seen a package deal where you had Xavier Rhodes and Kaiir Elam out there at the same time. But I guess Sean McDermott wants to do the cautious route, and he's been cautious with almost every single player that has been out there, not named Josh Allen. But he needs to be out there on the field at some point.
Rhodes was inactive too.
And Rhodes was inactive too, yeah. And both of them didn't play a snap, and I don't understand why, but we definitely need to figure it out and you got to get Xavier out there. You got to get Kaiir out there. And I think he's going to make plays, and he's done an excellent job. He's got the length and he's got the speed. And I felt like this was going to be the game where you put Kaiir out there on Garrett Wilson. And I felt comfortable with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Jake and I talked about that yesterday. It's like, why was Kaiir inactive last week? Why was he a healthy scratch? And I'm going to throw this to you, Sean, because I know you got a lot to say about this. Kaiir Elam, I mean, he's been doing a fantastic job. And because of the way the Bills communicate things, it's been left up to speculation. We're just speculating, but hey, they don't give us enough information. So of course we're going to speculate. And this was a hot topic last week on social media. What's up with Kaiir Elam? What's your take on that?
Well, it's definitely not injury related because he's not in the injury report any longer. So they can't use that excuse if they want to. But as soon as he was a healthy scratch, I was like, another questionable thing for McDermott. For some reason, he hates letting rookies try to grow during the season to make them even better for their next year, put them in big spots where they can improve. Instead, you rather leave Dane Jackson out there getting cooked constantly, putting you in a bad position for games. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe it was a healthy scratch because they wanted to give him an extra day of rest, but keep him on the team, keep him, well, I don't even know why he was a healthy scratch, but we'll see what he does next week. We'll see if he's active or playing, whatever. So when he was active, I'm like, okay, it looks like he's back to normal. Then I just see him on the sideline the whole time. And, McDermott, it just seems like he wants more. He cares more about proving a point to a player rather than being in the best position for your team to win. So if Elam was, I don't know what he must have. I hope he got arrested or something, because if he didn't do anything heinous to deserve no playing time, then McDermott's just an idiot. And I'm so tired of him making boneheaded choices constantly. But your first round pick is a waste if you're not using him. And, he was starting and playing games, doing very well. And then all of a sudden, with no context, you just don't play him anymore. You want to see what you got in Rhodes. Now Rhodes is inactive, and then you don't even play Elam. It's just something's going on. It doesn't make sense. It's definitely something. I don't know if he mouthed it off to somebody or I have zero idea, but I don't like it.
Yeah, that's what we're kind of speculating. Maybe something happened. He was late for something. I don't know, but I just wish they would be more upfront with us, so we didn't have to have these discussions. The guy deserves to be on the field. He's first rounder, like you said. He has 2 interceptions on the year. He's done a very good job. I feel as good, if not better, than Mr. Dane Jackson. So something for us to keep an eye on for sure, because this isn't going to be the last time we talk about this. For sure. So I do want to say one thing, Jake, a little bit funny. You're going to hate me for this. You're going to be upset with me. But can we revisit the stadium? Can we maybe raise another $1 billion and come up with a dome? Because, Jake, I'm sorry to tell you this. We are a passing team, and this weather just hurts that. It hurts it tremendously. We had, 5 to 6 drops out there easily today. And Josh Allen doesn't realize it's raining. He still wants to throw the ball 110 miles per hour. I don't know, Jay. I'm just thinking we need to rethink the stadium.
Now, you know what, though, Mike? No excuses, because the Jets receivers caught the ball just fine. So I don't – I get where you're coming from. And it's crazy because I feel like back in the day, maybe the weather was more of an advantage for the Bills. Now it's almost like the playing fields have sort of evened out. And these other teams come in here on these big rainy days, where the wind is gusting and the snow is blowing and it's rainy and whatnot. Mike White played pretty damn well out there. He threw the ball just fine. The receivers made plays. They caught passes. So I'm not going to obviously the weather has an effect, but the other team did it just fine. So I don't, I don't like, obviously you can use it as an excuse to a certain extent, but they made plays. Why didn't we? Isaiah McKenzie had how many drop balls? Dawson Knox even. He had a couple drop passes himself. So, yeah, I think you just gotta capitalize. You gotta execute. You can't make those mental errors. If it hits your hands, you gotta catch it. Plain and simple. And I know Josh throws a fastball, but my gosh, come on, you gotta make a play. Plain and simple.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, you guys like to drop these. We're going to drop 35. Big L always saying we're going to drop over 30. That's not going to happen in these games. It just hasn't happened over the last couple of years. Whenever it rains, we struggle to catch footballs for whatever reason.
That is true.
Jake, right?
That is absolutely true.
And some of that is a little bit. It is. It's much easier to catch a fastball that's 80 miles an hour than 110 miles per hour for sure. So Josh's arm kind of hurts us there in those rain games. But you're right. There's no excuse. But I'm just saying, man. I'm kind of over.
No, I know.
I'm over it. Let's. I want to see this team play at their full potential. I want to see us drop 30. I want to see us drop 40. Not going to happen if we keep dropping footballs, which we seem to keep doing. McKenzie dropped a couple big ones, right? Couple big ones. He had been having such a couple good games, and he had at least 2 big drops. Dawson Knox, who had a nice game, also had a couple drops. And
Singletary.
Singletary, yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
I don't think it's I thought about it more, and I don't even really blame Josh for 90% of the problems in the bad weather, because he's cutting the wind, he's throwing it in rain and snow, perfect spirals. But like Jake said, it wasn't a quarterback problem. It's a wide receiver issue. Their wide receivers were catching the balls in the rain and the snow. Ours weren't. So it'd be nice to have the dome just because they don't have an excuse, but they still drop it when there's a good weather. we have a drop problem with our team. So again, people look at Josh's stat line, 16 for 28, 59%. Probably 8 of those were wide open drops. The smoke pass, like your dad said, Josh underthrew him, but he burned Sauce. He burned the heck out of Sauce, and he tried to throw it 60 yards downfield in wind and rain. Like, obviously, it's going to take the ball down a little bit, but I mean, besides that, there was a lot of drops that were wide open. Like Motor dropped twice, McKenzie dropped at least 3. I mean, I'm sure Gabe Davis dropped at least 1. I mean, it wouldn't be a game without him doing that. And Knox dropped at least 1. But it's a wide receiver issue. Like, I don't understand why these guys can't catch. I mean, you have Josh Allen throwing you the ball in practice 150 miles an hour, and you can't catch something in bad weather. It blows my mind, honestly.
They practice in bad weather sometimes. I mean, they simulate these game situations. So I understand where Mike's coming from for sure, because obviously it gives you better odds to be able to put up those numbers and those stats and points that we like to see. But the other team's got to deal with the same weather. So it's like, can you battle through adversity? Who's going to come out on top, plain and simple. So, and they did. They still won the game today. So you can't be too mad at them, obviously. But when you look at Josh's like adjusted completion percentage, it's probably in the 90s because of all the drops that we had today. I mean, really, you talk about it, Sean. Maybe I would say there were definitely at least 6 drops on the day. Yeah. Isaiah McKenzie with 3 of them, Dawson with 2, Devin Singletary with a couple. I mean, Smoke. I'm not going to even totally put that on him because, again, that's underthrown. So, I mean, really, you go back to those, the stats look totally different in that case. And actually, probably the score, too.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Real quick, Sean, I want to say hi to the folks in the channel there. We got Tom out there. I believe Tom was at the game. Tom says, hey, guys, I'm not going to be here for long. I'm exhausted. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was at the game. A couple of the guys in our Discord were. Ryan was there and Tom. So fantastic. Big L out there. Always appreciate you, Big L. Oh, actually, that's not the most updated score. I think he said the most updated is 10-7. Yep. We got Brian Dable.
I wish I could see it.
Brian Dable from the Giants, Mr. Brian Label. Always comes on our show. We appreciate you, Brian. Let's get OBJ to give Josh unlimited power. The force is strong with Josh. He says, I just finished watching Star Wars with my son. That's why I say that. And then he's got a lot of good stuff to say. The stadium will be here for 100 years. Josh and his team have a few years. So are you kind of saying don't get the dome because the next team may not be a passing team? I don't know. The NFL seems to be a passing league, but as we were talking yesterday on our pregame show, the defenses are catching up. I mean, let me ask all of you, I think I asked this in the pregame, but out in the channel, if I was to tell you Josh Allen was going to throw for 147 yards, and if you said, hey, how did the game go? I said, Josh Allen threw for 147 yards. You thinking we won that game? Hell no.
No.
There is no way you're thinking we won that game. And then,
who would have thought that? Who would have thought that Sam Martin would have more yards than Josh Allen today?
Punting yards and passing yards, yeah.
That is funny. Yeah, you're right, Brian. As long as our defense plays well, we will win many games for sure. I hope we use Smoke more. Yeah, it was nice. It was great that we went to Smoke early. I was expecting to see more of that, but we kind of went away from that. We'll talk more about the receivers in a little bit because there's not a whole lot to talk about. So we'll wait on them a little bit. And then he said, if you look at the games, if the defense holds the opponents under 24, we can't lose. Yeah, we've been in every game. I mean, we've been in every game. We talk about the offense all the time, but the key is with the defense. We always score 25 plus. As long as our defense holds up, we win. Yeah, there's only been 2 games we scored under 20. And
the Jets were as bad as we were today, we still put up 20 points. So I mean.
Yeah. We got Chris Tebow coming in, $200 million quarterback. He needs a dome. Enough of these 5-yard passes. I'm with you, Chris. I'm with you.
Well, I will say, to Brian's point, the stadium might be around for 100 years, but I sure as hell won't be. So I want to see a ring. I don't care. I don't care about the people. 60 years from now. I want to win now. So they get the dome now. I mean, I don't care what they do later on, but I do. I get your point, though. It makes a lot of sense.
Hey, there's this thing called a retractable dome, Jake. You can still have some weather and some if you want it. I'm just saying.
That would be too logical, Mike.
I'm just saying. We got Ryan. Ryan, I think, was at the game today. He says, I like the elements. Don't forget his 50 rushing yards, too. Yeah, he had,
Hell yeah. I was sitting outside yesterday, Mike, in 27-degree weather in a tree stand. I know it's totally different, obviously, but I'll tell you what, man. Like, again, I'll go back to growing up and playing football and stuff. I lived, and I had a few screws loose. I lived, and even when I played, I lived to play in the elements. I loved it. Something about it, it just says football weather to me. So I'm all for it. But I totally understand where you're coming from with the dome. I respect that point, and it makes sense. It definitely makes sense, of course. If you have a neutral environment, then you don't have an excuse to make. And if your team plays poorly, your team just plays poorly, and you can't blame it on anything else.
Yeah. Brian says I like a half dome. Is there a stadium that has a half dome?
There are stadiums with the overhang.
Okay.
I know Seattle kind of is shaped like that, where they have like the overhang, and that's how the new stadium for the Bills is supposed to be. Like 65% of it's supposed to be covered at least where the fans are sitting. I mean, the overall like opening of it is going to still be, it's going to be wide open, so players they'll get rained on and whatnot. But yeah.
Well, Hard Rock too. I mean, that's what I think of when you think of a stadium that's like kind of half open, because they have it where the sideline of the Miami Dolphins is like 85 degrees, and then the sideline for the opposing team is 120. So it's kind of like, home field advantage, but I think it's kind of a little bit BS, because I've been there for like different there's a tennis tournament that they have down there called the Miami Open, and the side that I sit on is always 120 degrees side, and it's absolutely crazy because those are the cheapest seats, and you want to pay $150 more in this for those seats.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, where we were sitting too. I went to the Bills Dolphins game this year, where we were sitting. I can't even imagine those people sitting directly in the sunlight during that game specifically, because it was like, I think the real feel was like 117 degrees. So I don't even think that's safe. Like there's a safety hazard there at a certain point,
No,
crazy.
Absolutely.
I want to stick to the offense real quick, because we know the defense had a really good game, but that offense, it's not been living up to our standards, our expectations. We're getting wins, and again, this is a celebration, but we got to talk about some of these things, because we got 4 games left. We got a couple tough games. We need to win out to get that top seed. I truly believe that. We got Miami, and then we got Cincy. Cincy's playing good.
The Bears.
But I want to throw it to you, Sean. So some folks have been critical of Dorsey. He's like, hey, the honeymoon's over. He came in those first 6 games. We were killing it. It felt like we didn't lose anything by having Dable move on. Now, people are saying he's not adjusting. He's not making the right calls. And I think there is some truth to that. But I will say one thing. That offensive line was atrocious today. Dorsey is not the guy who's getting 5 penalties for 35 yards. Deion Dawkins, 3 holding calls. One of them declined. Talk to me. Are you putting a lot of this on Dorsey, or is it the execution by the players, or is it both?
I think it's a little bit of both, but like I'll say, treat Dorsey like he's Josh Allen. I wasn't a guy that was like, screw Josh Allen, he sucks, I don't want him on my team. But we know a lot of Buffalo Bills fans were like that. They showed a clip on a commercial like when they drafted Josh, and there was people in the practice house, and everyone was going, oh, like when they said Josh Allen, like some people were like, oh man, really? Because everybody wanted Rosen or whatever. So, and now look at Josh. Dorsey's in his first year of play calling. He's had just as much success, if not more, than Dable has with this team. And I always thought Dable got too much credit, but he's learning on the job. It's his first year. He's got a lot of pressure because they have to win a Super Bowl. Like that's if the Bills don't win a Super Bowl this year, it's a letdown. They have to win it. So he's got all that pressure on him. I have to perform at the highest level all the time. My offensive line is garbage. My receivers can't catch, and my offensive lineman can't pass block and a pass blocking offense. So I put a little bit on him, but a lot of it's execution, like you said, Mike. Spencer Brown, he shouldn't even be on the roster. He's just so terrible. He's so terrible. And I don't know if Bates got benched today or if he got injured, but Van Roten was playing right guard at the end of the game.
He got injured.
He got injured, yeah.
Okay. And, he wasn't doing too great either. But Dawkins is our best lineman, and he's getting 3 penalties. And Saffold's just getting blown up. It's just it's horrible. But give Dorsey time. He's shown he can be very, very, very good. The only thing I don't like about him was how I messaged you guys during the game. It was so obvious you were running out the clock. 4 runs in a row up the middle. We got one first down out of it, but we were already in field goal range when we had the ball. If you score a touchdown on that drive, it's not 20-12 and we're scrambling. Oh, we got to make sure we get this onside kick, or we got to make sure we get a first down now. The game would have been over. And they're running up the ball at the middle every time. Stop being too obvious. And then that's when it felt like they were kind of giving up the game. They were just like, oh, we're up 20-7 or 17-7. Who really cares? We'll just, I don't know if it was like overly cocky or arrogance, and I don't know if I like it or not. I don't like it during the game, but it just seems like they're like, we got this no matter what. So let's just kind of lay low, waste some time.
I hate that.
And I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but that's what I feel like when they started doing that, because touchdown, field goal. I'm like, wow, the offense is finally moving. They're doing what the short passes. They're doing take what the defense gives you. They're running the ball with Josh or the running backs. And then now they're like, run up the middle, a page from Dayball's book. And then the Jets are making stops. And then the Jets get the ball.
Yeah.
Then the Jets get a safety. Then the Jets score a field goal. Then it's like, oh shit, now we're scrambling for trying to win the game again. I don't like that. And I think that's my one knock on Dorsey today was the weather. Obviously, that sucked. I mean, it was a really boring first half. The weather was terrible. It's hard to play in that condition for any team. But so I'll give the pass on that. But near the last 2 or 3 drives of the game where you could have closed the game out, when it was 17-7, you could have you got the ball at the 50, touchdown there, the game's over. You settle for a field goal. Then the next drive, didn't score, didn't get a field goal. Next drive, didn't score and get a field goal. And I just hate how they're so okay with just, we'll let the defense do it. We won't really focus on trying to get first downs. We'll just hopefully get a first down when we're running the ball. And that's what it seems like they're hanging on a prayer. Can we get a first down, running ball 3 times in a row? If we can, great. If not, the defense got this. And the defense did today. But that's a lot. That's a lot. You can't just keep putting that on the defense all the time. But I mean, overall, I like Dorsey a lot, and I think he'll be awesome. I think he is awesome, but he's going to be learning on the job. And I mean, with all the offensive line issues and the drop balls, it's got to be a little bit frustrating for him as well. So I put more of it on execution. But Dorsey's, he's going to be making mistakes, but I would rather him than Dayball, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was going to say I want to have somebody take Brian Label's question. He says, "Why can't understand why the Jets didn't try for onside kick. I mean, they'd have to hold the Bills 4 and out anyway. Why not take a chance to get the onside?" You know what I'm more shocked about is that they didn't go for it on 4th and 1. Down close to the, the chance to score a touchdown. I think Tony Romo was all over that as well as the announcer. He was talking about that. I think they should have gone for that. Get the touchdown, then it's much easier, right? But I don't know. Let me throw it to you, Brett. Why do you think they didn't go for the onside kick?
Personally, I think it's because the amount of times that you have an onside kick where it's successful is so low in the NFL. And I think that the only time that it's really been successful in recent memory, and I don't know how you guys would feel. I mean, the last time I remember an onside kick being successful was like Pat McAfee having an onside kick against the Houston Texans where he recovered his own onside kick. So I think that the execution of an onside kick is just so low. And I think it's under like 10% of the time that an onside kick is successful in the NFL. So, I mean, I would take the 90% chance that you're going to be able to stop the Bills on a drive. And, you can get the ball back. But, again, they weren't able to do that. The Bills were able to win the game, and that's what it came down to. But the overall success of an onside kick is just so low.
Yeah, you nailed it, Brett. I mean, I think they even said on the broadcast, there's only been 2 successful this year, something like that, 2 or 3. So that was, you said that beautifully because they kicked the onside kick. Odds are they're not going to get it. Now you're giving the Bills great field position to kind of just run out the clock and do whatever because they'll take more risk. If they're on the side of the Dolphins field, they're going to take more risk. They're not going to play it so safe. So hope that answers your question, Mr. Label. We got Bootsy out there. Who knows Bootsy? Somebody knows Bootsy.
Or Bootsy.
He says, give y'all Trubisky back.
He came on once with us.
I was going to say, I recognize that name.
A bag of chips. Good to see you out there, Bootsy. again, if you're new to the channel, like we got 3 channels going on tonight. We love going live together, collaborating. We got the Red, White, and Bills. We got Go Bills podcast and Nickel City Mafia. So I'm going to ask all of you at the end of this show, go seek out all our channels. I don't know where you're watching this, but go give us a like, comment, and subscribe on all the channels. Greatly appreciate it. Let's see here. What's Chris coming in with? Chris is saying Matt Milano looked great today. Yeah, Matt Milano continues.
Stallion, baby.
You know, he was questionable coming into the game. He was the one guy that was a true questionable kind of 50-50. We talked about that on the pregame show. But he showed up. Absolutely fantastic. All right, well, let me throw it to you. Sean. Where do you want to go next? So we've talked a lot about the offense, a little bit about the defense. Defense was just stellar today. Other than giving up all those 3rd and longs, right? And that's just been a trend all year. They got to get that fixed. I think that'll get fixed the more Trey White gets back to Trey White, and whenever we figure out what we're going to do with that cornerback number 2. But where do you want to go next, Sean? What do you want to talk about? The floor is yours.
You still want to be good?
Oh no, we're 41 minutes into the show, Sean. Let's get into it.
But before I get into something, I got to tell you how the Dolphins scored their touchdown. Jeff Wilson fumbled. There was a big scrum. Tyreek Hill weaseled in, picked up the ball, ran it 60 yards for a touchdown untouched.
Get out of here! Are you serious?
Yeah, but they've been playing like crap. But my friend sent me the video. I'm like, of course. I mean, that would happen to them. But I want to mention how there's so many choices, but I want to say coach's decision to challenge the obvious catch in a close game and waste a timeout in the second half. He never usually wastes timeouts in the second half, and I thought that was just really stupid. I was like, there's no way that's even a chance to be reviewed. It's all conclusive. There's no way they're going to overturn that. And it just added to the dumb decision-making of not playing Elam too. So that's why I didn't really want to mention it, because we already mentioned the Elam thing, but I want to put that all together. Like what's McDermott doing? Why are you thinking like, oh, you know what? That's a good thing to waste a timeout on. But I don't want to challenge things that are obvious. I'm going to challenge this stupid thing. But that's also been a reoccurring thing with McDermott. But I love him. But man, he makes me mad. Lately, especially, he's been making me mad.
I was surprised that he did throw the flag to challenge that. But you know what, Sean, that's coming in from the booth, right? That's somebody coming to him that he probably trusts that says you got to throw the flag there, because McDermott doesn't usually. I can't remember. I mean, he doesn't seem to challenge a lot of things, and you're right.
Not often.
Yeah, so that was clearly. I don't know who was watching that. Whatever they were watching, it was a clear catch, 100%. So I don't know what was going on, but I agree with you. That was just when I saw it, I'm like, why are they challenging that? There's no way he dropped that, and sure enough, he didn't. So, and they have better angles than us.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying they have better angles than us when they're watching up in the booth.
I just didn't see it as worth it because they rolled up on top of each other, so you couldn't even see it if he did bobble it a little bit. So that's why I was like, I don't know. But I felt like that one wasn't good enough. So let me say, I feel like Diggs was pissed off today. Like he was visibly mad on the field. And I don't know if it was because he wasn't getting the ball, but that 3rd and 2 in I think it was in field goal range. No, I don't think it might not have been. It might have been close. The route was designed for Diggs, and then he threw it to McKenzie. McKenzie dropped it. They showed Diggs. He's shaking his head. He's like, I don't know if he was pissed off because McKenzie dropped it. I don't know if he was pissed off because they didn't get the first down. I don't know if he was pissed off because he wasn't involved in the game more. But that was the first time in these years I've actually seen him visibly mad on the field, not counting it when he went up to McDermott and was like on his shoulder. And he seemed actually upset today, and I was kind of like, I don't really like that. But
yeah, I think it probably was a little bit of all what you said, right? Let me give you some numbers here from the receivers real quick. They're not pretty. They're not pretty at all. We had Dawson Knox on 7 targets. He had 4 receptions for 41 yards and a touchdown. Diggs had 3 receptions for 37 yards on 5 targets. Gabe Davis had 3 catches for 31 yards on 4 targets. And McKenzie had 3 catches for 21 yards on 5 targets. Just ugly. Just ugly. So I could see why he'd be upset. Jake, let me throw it to you. What's your thoughts on what Sean's saying there about Diggs? He obviously he's He's super competitive, and I'm sure that he's like, why am I only being thrown to 5 times? When we did see him complete passes or completed passes, he had put some great moves on a couple of the guys that were defending him. So
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
That pivot route that he ran on that 32-yard catch, holy smokes. I mean, I was like, I fell out of my chair. I mean, that was a beautiful, beautiful route. He's one of the best route runners in the NFL, and obviously a top 5 receiver in the NFL for a reason. It was frustrating to see him just with the lack of looks. Like, you got to find a way to get him the ball. If he doesn't have at least 10 targets a game, honestly, I don't care if you're playing against Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, whoever it is, throw him the football, because he's the only guy on the team who's proven that he can make those catches in tough, tight situations and clutch situations too. So, yeah, I 100% respect that he was frustrated, and I can totally see why, because it seemed like they weren't even trying to make him a part of the game plan. Like, whether it was, whether he's open or not, throw him the football, because he'll make a contested catch, unlike these other guys. So, yeah, I'm frustrated by it as well. I really don't understand it. And, I think they need to take a deep, hard look at their game plan and go back to what works. And what also is frustrating too is just like, excuse me, sorry. When we'd run a couple plays, even in the run game and stuff, when it was working, even the short throws to Dawson Knox, it's like we just seem to get away from it. It's like, why not just keep riding that momentum? And I get, like, obviously you don't want to be like Brian Dable calling the same play over and over again, but you can still do a similar concept, especially with the short routes and whatnot. And that was working so well. That one drive where we went down and scored with Dawson Knox, that was textbook, So I just don't understand it. That is some of the most frustrating things I've seen with Ken Dorsey, is just the fact that whenever we seem to get momentum and we have these big plays and it's play after play and we're just eating the defense alive, it's like, for whatever reason, he takes that player out, or he doesn't continue to scheme them in for the rest of that drive or for the rest of the game, for that matter. So I think that's what happened with Steph Diggs. I think they were trying to get him the ball on that one drive. He had the 32-yard catch, and then they just went away from him again. I don't get it, and I totally understand why he's frustrated. And, man, he's a human being, and, I mean, as a top receiver in the NFL, as I said, you should be targeted 10 times a game. There's no reason you shouldn't be.
I know I already talked, but before Brett and Mike go, every other team gets their best player the ball constantly. Cooper Kupp gets triple teamed, always gets the ball. Kelsey gets double or triple teamed, always gets the ball. Deebo Samuel always gets the ball. There's no excuse to, like Jake said, why Diggs should not be featured all the time, no matter what. He can't cook DJ Reed. He can't cook. He's been double teamed and wins coverage all the time. Sauce doesn't even guard him. Sauce doesn't even want to guard him, and that's why they don't put him on there, because they know the rookie will come out of him. But I like Jake said, it frustrates me because him and Josh are your best players, and you're like, well, let's just throw it to people that drop the ball constantly, or who can't get open as much, or aren't as good route runners. Like, throw to Diggs all the time. I don't care if they're like, 17 targets and 10 catches. I don't care. Just get him involved in the game. I don't care if it's 2-yard slants or 2-yard outs. Put the ball in his hand and see what he does with it. And sorry to take up more time, but I just wanted to put that in there. So
who was so Sean? Last time they had Reed on him and they were getting help on Stephon Diggs. Was that the same plan today? Is that what they were going with today?
Yeah.
As the bracket.
When Diggs was in the slot, though, that's when he was making his catches. So they put him in the slot sometimes, and he was working with Michael Carter, I believe his name was.
Yeah, he got absolutely cooked every time.
And then they took him out of the slot. It's like, I don't know what you're doing.
That's what the Cardinals did with Larry Fitzgerald. He wasn't able to get the separation on the outside, so then they moved him inside. The guy was putting up 115 catches a season. This is when Larry Fitzgerald was older, of course. But I know it's a totally different concept. This is for one game. But, like, as Sean said, you move him into the slot, the guy's making plays. He's absolutely toasting Michael Carter every single play. Like, why didn't you keep him in the slot? I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense.
I completely agree.
So I don't even care if he's double. Throw him the football.
Right. Yeah, and that too.
Yeah, it's like,
I agree with you guys.
It's such common sense. Remember when we were kids and we were at the playground, Jake, you were at that playground in that weather, in the snow, and you're quarterbacking. Who are you looking for? You know you have your best friend who's the fastest kid on the field. He's the best kid. You're throwing him the ball 90% of the time. Come on, it's common sense. Get Diggs the ball. Like you said, Sean, look at Jefferson's numbers today from Minnesota. They're throwing to him. Look at Garrett Wilson. They're feeding him the ball. You gotta feed Diggs the ball. I mean, that's who I'd be looking through to all the time. If it's a 3rd and 2, a crucial play, I'm looking for my man Diggs. Come on. I totally agree with you guys.
I think Josh wants to. I think Josh wants to as well. It's what he's told. I mean, the play calls, it starts up top with that.
Guess what Tua's stat is right now for completions and attempts? 3 for 14.
Oh,
wow.
Oh my God. Sorry, I just had a wow. I don't know if that's fake or not, but holy cow.
Well, this is a do or die for the Chargers. I mean, this was a big game.
Yeah.
This was not going to be easy, and it helps us out. Of course, we definitely are Charger fans tonight. But Brett, let me throw it to you, man. I'm sorry. I feel like I've been ignoring you, but let me throw it to you.
No, you're good, man.
Where do you want to take it next? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to add into that Stephon Diggs thing. In the first half, I did feel like there's the one play where Josh missed him on the route that he was crossing across the field, where it could have been an easy touchdown in that situation. So I felt like we should have definitely have moved him inside because Michael Carter was getting a couple penalties. And I just didn't understand why Buffalo wasn't targeting Michael Carter whenever he was on the field. And like I said, there's 2 straight drives where Michael Carter had a penalty on him. And if Buffalo was smart, you could have moved any of the receivers inside, put him on him, and try and get as many penalties out of Michael Carter as you can. Maybe get him off the field. That would have been a great idea. But I was surprised that they didn't do that.
Yeah,
but
I totally agree.
Anyways, where I would want to go next, I mean, I think we got to talk about the linebackers today. I mean, I think we got to move into them. I know we're kind of staying on the side of the negativity, but I want to say the linebackers played excellent. I think both Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano played great. I think we got to talk about both of them being out there. Both of them did great things on the field. And the play where Matt Milano, this is going to be something that probably a lot of Jets fans are going to want to hear about. And I know that we do want to talk about the Bills, but I think this is the play where some Jets fans probably have a little bit of anger towards Matt Milano in that situation, but it's a clean hit. And it's a great hit. I mean, he did everything that you're supposed to as a linebacker. I mean, I don't think I've seen a hit like that in a long time. It reminded me a lot of Sean Taylor out there when Sean went after Brian Mormon and had the big hit on him. It reminded me of that play in the Pro Bowl. But I'm like, man, that's a big play.
Oh my God!
Let's stay on that. But before we do, I just wanted to. I meant to bring this up earlier. You all know. I know these guys know on this channel that we are trying to raise money for this family. We call him Baby Jack. That's his name, Jack. Baby Jack and his family. We're raising money. Link is in the description of the show tonight. So any amount would be greatly appreciated. We've raised over $3,000 for this family, and our goal is to hit 5,000 by the first of the year. So if you can share the link, put it on social media. There's so many different ways to help. We'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the show here. All right, back to you, Brett. Yeah, those linebackers were fantastic, and we just keep seeing, when Milano and Edmonds are on the field, it just feels good. I mean, they have taken it to another level this year. So go ahead, keep talking about it, man.
Yeah, absolutely loved them. I mean, I felt like Milano was the difference between us winning this game this time in week 9 when we lost the game and he wasn't out there. I felt like just his presence on the defense was the most important thing for us. It seemed like every time that there was a play, whether it was in the run game or it was in the pass game, he was out there making a play left and right. I don't know, don't quote me on it, but I think he led the team in tackles today. So
He did.
He did?
Yeah. He had
Yes,
9.
Sweet. That was the biggest thing. And really liked what I saw out of him. I know he also had the fumble recovery too. And it seems like almost every single day that he's getting a fumble recovery or he's making a pick in the game. So, I mean, I got to say, Bills Mafia, we got to put Matt Milano in I think it will be his first Pro Bowl game if he makes it this year.
It's crazy that it'll be his first, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, in all the years that he's played, I mean, he's looked excellent. But I think that this is the year where he's taking it to another level.
Yeah, he's playing like an all-pro this year. It is another level, 100%, man.
Can we, before we get back to the linebackers, can we mention quick how DeMar Hamlin could have possibly saved the game for us?
Yeah,
by getting that fourth fumble, because at that point I was like, we're really gonna give this game up, and then he punched it out and Milano recovered it. And I was like, I love when I'm wrong. I love when I have karma go back at me and I speak it into existence. And oh my gosh, it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, go back to the linebackers. I want to hear more about them. So you guys go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
No, I will say nothing to be sorry about. You're right. I mean, that changed the game. I mean, it wasn't looking good. The Jets had many opportunities, not many, but they had a great chance of winning this game. So that play was huge. So sorry, Brett. We'll get back to you.
No worries, man. I was just gonna say, I mean, the biggest thing when Sean said that, I was thinking when Sean's in our messages saying stuff the whole entire game, I'm like, I think of my grandfather where he comes and he always messages me during the Patriots games because he's a huge Patriots fan. And he always tells me that he's like walking around and pacing around when he's watching the game. And I always picture I'm thinking Sean's going to be the one that's going to be pacing around.
Well, I do.
Like, freaking out and everything. I'm like, I just can't imagine you on game day. I don't know what is going through your head, but I just picture you pacing around and like, I don't know how your family's feeling about it, but I feel like they must be like going crazy when you're watching the game.
It's funny because my knees hurt after every game because I'm standing up and walking around the whole time. But you guys know my in-laws are here from Brazil, and my father-in-law wanted to watch the game, because he's a Bills fan now. He wore my Paul Posluszny jersey. He saw my Diggs jersey. He said, "I want to wear one." So he wore my Posluszny jersey, but he's a Brazil soccer fan, so you know how I actually got him to flip off the Dolphins today when they started playing. I said, that's our rival, like Brazil is to Argentina. I said, we hate the Dolphins, F the Dolphins, and he said, yep, F the
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but he's a big sports guy. My mother-in-law not so much, and then my wife's kind of used to it by now. If she sits and watches, she gets nervous just because I'm going crazy, so she starts to get anxious, like, oh my god, she starts shaking. She's like, I'm not even watching, and I'm feeling weird. But you're right. You nailed it on the head. I'm always pacing. I'm always in my own world, and whenever I'm messaging you guys, it's just I need to say something initially, or I'm gonna start getting hot. Like if I don't talk and complain, like my body gets really warm and my face turns red, and I feel like I'm steaming. So I'm just like, oh, what happened to Tremaine Edmonds being really good in the middle of the field? Why is Josh not?
I have an idea for you. I think this will go viral. Your channel will just go nuts. You need to do some live reaction shows. We need to see you do like the second half of a show. Just be on live and let's just see what you're going through. I'm telling you, people would eat it up and love it.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
My other friend from IBT Sports he started doing the live shows, and I was like, I would do it, but I feel like people would not like it because I'd just be going crazy and swearing constantly. He'd be like, honestly, I think that's what people would like.
People love that stuff.
It's the real.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea. When my in-laws leave, I don't like to swear too. They might not know what I'm swearing, but they might eventually know. So I'm gonna wait till they leave, and then that's a good point. I'm just gonna go crazy and like that Ravens fan. He's like, "We lost to the Jags," and he's like crying on the camera. That's a good idea.
Your friend, what is it? Finn Talk, whatever his name is.
TD.
He was doing a live reaction of the Jets Bills game. He was watching that because, of course, his Dolphins were playing later. Mm-hmm. He does that all the time. I think he'd be perfect for it. Jake and I got to do that one time too. We got to have some fun with that.
For sure.
So Brett, did we? Obviously, the linebackers were fantastic. You said it already. Matt Milano led the team with 9 tackles. Let's see. Edmonds had 8. He had 4 tackles, 4 assists, and just fantastic day today for them. And it continues to be that way. So we want to see Epinesa. We want to see Edmonds. When one of them are missing, you see it on the field. You notice it. So let's just keep them healthy. I feel like we came out of this game, although I'm always surprised, but it looks like we came out of this game pretty healthy. We'll have to see what Ryan Bates' situation is because he did go out for a few. I don't know if he came back in actually. They said he went out in the second half with an ankle injury. We'll see if he comes back. But, Jake, let me throw it to you real quick. Is there anywhere you want to go that we haven't already gone? Talk to me.
I think safety play. It was something that I think Sean mentioned it. Without that strip by DeMar Hamlin, I mean, it could have been a totally different game. I think Jordan Poyer also still played a really nice game, and you saw when Jaquan Johnson came in, the difference from him to Jordan Poyer. Oh my goodness, it's insane. Man, I mean, it's nice having DeMar and Jordan back there. You imagine if Micah Hyde's back there. I wore his jersey in his honor today just because I miss him so much. But I think it's something that, obviously people are going to talk about the defensive line. They're going to talk about the linebacker play. I think the safety play today was incredible. And thank God we have those guys back there because, my gosh, it could have been a really, really bad day for us, defensively. We already let up, some really, I guess, some bigger plays by the Jets where they came down with some good catches and they made some good plays. But, man, you imagine not having Jordan Poyer and DeMar Hamlin, we would have been hurting a little bit. So, but, boys, my connectivity is not great. You guys' mouths are moving, and I'm seeing what you're saying after the fact. So I'm gonna hop off here. The production quality on my end is absolute trash. I'm just glad I could join it tonight. So I'm gonna let you boys take it away. We're 10-3 right now. So let's enjoy it, and I'm sure you guys are gonna have a great wrap up of this show. So thank you for having me. I'm gonna hop off now. Figure out this internet issue. Get back healthy for next game.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Do it. Appreciate you, Sean. Not Sean. Jake, I appreciate you for being on. I keep getting you guys confused. There's so many people that we do these shows with. No, I do appreciate you, Sean.
I know. Thank you, man. Thank you.
We got Chris saying, do we lose every coin toss? So this one we did, but, starting at the beginning of the year, I feel like the first 7 games of the year, we only won one coin toss, and we deferred actually that one time. But then we went on a little bit of a roll during that where we played those 3 games in 10 days, 9 days. I feel like we won all the coin tosses. So yeah, Chris, it feels like that. We certainly, the odds have not been in our favor for winning coin tosses this year, for sure.
Cover one guy said that we were 1 for 10, the first 10.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
It was including the overtimes. So
Gotcha.
We were 1 for 10, and I was like,
so.
Out of 50-50 chance, we only get lucky 10% of the time. If that's not indication of how this year's been, then I don't know what is.
So we actually won this coin toss because the Jets were the opposing team. They were the ones that made the call on the coin flip. So we won the toss, and then we actually no, you're right. I'm sorry.
No,
I messed up. I don't know what I'm thinking. Yeah. They did win the coin toss. They elected to defer. Buffalo got the ball. So my bad. I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm saying.
And it would have been perfect if we just stopped them, but we gave up a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's it didn't matter in the end. But I mean, what are you gonna do?
What do you mean we did stop them when we what are you talking about?
At their first drive in the third quarter.
Oh, okay.
When we kicked the ball out, they scored. That was their first touchdown. And I was like, oh. We scored with 1 minute left or 30 seconds left. And then if we stop them at the beginning of the third quarter, let's keep that momentum going. Then they had a 15-play, 80-yard drive for a touchdown. I'm like, well, come on, defense.
Yeah, exactly.
But the way that the Bills bounced back after that drive, I really liked that. We marched down the field. We got the touchdown from Josh. And the amount of times that, we could have just taking our foot off the gas, and we didn't. We fought every play. I mean, you could go back to earlier in the week when we lost Von Miller. We could have just sat there and said, you know what, now we're not going to have a pass rush, and look what we did in the pass rush. We were able to get 3 sacks, 2 of them being from 5. My bad. No, so sorry. I was saying 3 from the defensive ends, though. But yeah. I'm saying 3 from the defensive ends. Shaq having 1, 4 actually, because AJ had 1. But even Greg Russo being able to step up, that was a big thing for us. But there's so much resiliency that we've had overall this year with all the injuries that we've had, everything that we've fought through. I mean, even going back to the beginning of the season where we were at the last preseason game and we didn't have a punter and we lost our punter. And then the ability to finally get a punter in week 1, and the resiliency to have Sam Martin kick in week 1 without even really playing a snap with Reed Ferguson or even with Tyler Bass. It's been a lot of resiliency that we've seen throughout the whole entire season from the Bills. And this is the type of things that you see with a team, especially if they win the Super Bowl. There's that resiliency that you see from them. And it's good to see that Buffalo is going through this throughout the season. Finally, we're getting healthy. There's all these things that are being corrected. And I really like that from us.
Yeah.
It kind of gives us a little storybook for our season. And hopefully we can tell the story for years and years to come of what potentially could happen, because I don't want to say the word yet about what may happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I don't want to jinx ourselves.
I want to say, Chris, so Tiana your daughter, your wife? Who's Tiana in relationship? So Tiana got to see her first Bills win. That's awesome. And she is so happy Ellen got that touchdown on our side of the field. So that's fantastic. Awesome. Tell us who Tiana is so we can say hi to her. Oh, all right. She is your wife. Hello, Tiana. And that is awesome is this obviously her first game, or maybe she's been to a game before where they lost? Anyhow, great experience. So happy for you guys. I want to talk a little bit about special teams. We always kind of skip over that, but that was very important today. Bass, again, being Bass, we talked about him earlier in the show. I thought Hines did a fantastic job on punt returns, right? He put us in some good field position, so he did a fantastic job. I mean, it's not easy to field the ball in that type of weather, not at all. And there was a couple times you could tell he might have had a little bit of a difficult time, but he fielded them, and that's all that counts. Get that ball, get it back to our offense. But he set us up twice, I think, near the 50-yard line. So, Sean, I'm going to throw it to you real quick. The only negative thing, and we haven't seen this in a while, I can't remember the last time we had a punt blocked. I do remember last year in the first game, in the Pittsburgh game, right? In the Pittsburgh game where we had one blocked for a touchdown.
Yep.
This is another bad break for the Jets. This could have easily been a touchdown for the Jets. Jermaine Johnson gets in, blocks the punt, and fortunately it goes out of the end zone for a safety. But, go ahead, Sean. Let me throw it to you. Give me your thoughts on the special teams.
Well, yeah, that was lucky because if he was farther back and he blocked it, it wouldn't have went as far that way. But he was so close to him, he bounced it right off his chest plate or his stomach, and it flew out of the end zone. I'm like, because if he got that, it's 20-14.
Yeah.
And then now we're like, oh shit.
We're kicking to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we really.
Not on that one. I'm sorry.
No, but still, 20-14. It's like you have to score at least a field goal or the game's over, and we weren't doing shit. So that was a lucky break for us. But Hines is incredible. I love his will and his grit when he runs and in the punt return. He plays it like it's his last play, and that's how all return specialists should be, because returning is dangerous, very dangerous, because these guys are going full speed, 20 yards, 30 yards of advance before they even make contact with you, and you're sometimes stopped completely. If you get hit hard enough, man, it's a dangerous game out there. But Hines is incredible. Got to get him in the offense more. Josh almost got him killed too. But, he held on to the football. And, but yeah, overall, special teams, it was a missed assignment on the block. It doesn't happen often, but the one time it happened last year, it cost us a win. And it didn't cost us a win this year, but you got to be – special teams matters just as much as offense and defense. The coverage was very good. That one, I think we could have pinned him at the one, but they thought he touched it. So they rolled into the end zone thinking it could have been a touchdown. But that would have been the third one they kept inside the 5, I believe, at least inside the 10. But they probably would have stopped him at the 1. But I think they were like, we got to go for the touchdown. But that's not really a mistake. I think that was just a bang-bang play, and I would have made the same decision, I believe. So overall, the coverage was great. Punting was great besides the block punt. Again, Bass is incredible. I love Bass. But I only want to see Bass on game-winning field goals when it's 37-37 or extra points, because we got to be scoring touchdowns. Because I came to the conclusion that you don't beat the Kansas City Chiefs with defense, you beat them with offense. And that sounds really stupid, but we had the number one defense last year, and we lost the way we did. If we scored more, then it would have been different because our defense wasn't able to stop them. You got to beat them with offense. But yeah, back to special teams. I'll give them a B plus just because of the block punt. But overall, coverage was great, punting was great, holding was great, field goals were great. Terrible weather conditions, so not too bad. But that block punt could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I agree. They had chances to win this game, and they played extremely well against us. I want to ask you guys. We're jumping all over the place, but that's fun. That's the fun of the show. I want to go back to that. So it's 0-0. Looks like this game is going to be 0-0 at halftime, right? The Bills have 4th and 1 at the Buffalo 39-yard line. Do you believe? I mean, I had no doubt that they were not going to go for this. C.J. Mosley jumping off sides. If I'm a coach, I'm going extremely crazy at that point. Let me ask you guys, did you think they were going to actually do something there? On our own 39-yard line, 0-0, and give the Jets a potential chance to get a score late in that game?
No.
What'd you think, Sean?
No way,
right?
I thought it was because I told my family was watching, and they were like, "Oh wow, that was awesome." That was exactly what they wanted to do. They weren't going to run a play, and they were hoping to get an eager player to jump. And again, like you said, when you're on the defense, you got to be thinking they're not going to run this play. Be smart, watch the football. That's all I even say it still to this day. When I play defensive line, and I'm not even looking at the guy in front of me. I'm looking at the ball the whole time, and that's all I do is look at the ball, look at the ball, look at the ball. And Mosley got too excited. He saw Dawson Knox running there, and that's all we needed. And we got to give a lot of credit to Dorsey on that one because that was all his design, I believe. And, that potentially saved the game. It was a heads-up play. It was absolutely a smart play, and it led to 7 points. And, I mean, Dawson Knox was a good seller too. But sometimes you got to do crafty stuff like that. And in a 0-0 game with two or three first downs total in the half, you needed that. And, again, C.J. Mosley's – I don't like him a lot because he's always been a headhunter to me. He always tries to hit people and take them out. And he did it today to Singletary, but it didn't work. And, he's a pro. He's very good at linebacker. I don't like what he does, but he's a good linebacker. And to see someone like him make the mistake made it even better. I'm like, thank you, Mosley. I really appreciate that. And I was going to get that touchdown. But I was like, what are they going to do here? And then when I saw that when Knox dive in there, I'm like, yes, I knew it. I knew they were going to do something cool. But
I think it was.
If I'm a Jets fan, imagine if it was flipped and it was a Bills player who did that. Again, it was like 4th and 1 at our 39 with 1:17 to go. I don't know if I call a timeout at that point as a coach, but you got to be saying, don't fall for anything. They're not going for this. I mean, I really feel in my heart they'll never tell us the truth, but there was a 1% chance they were going to try to do something, and I would have just said, let's not give them anything free. Don't be stupid here. And again, I just that probably turned the game. I mean, obviously it turned the game. It was a huge turning point at that point.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it was bittersweet that after they did jump off sides, it was Dawson Knox who had the touchdown at the end of that drive. I mean, just to get that done, I felt like that was so cool to see.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've Sean, let me ask you. We've talked about the the only thing we didn't get into a lot, maybe we touched on it, but on the offensive side of the ball, the running game, and I mean, first of all, where is he? I'm looking for the stat right here. Here it is. James Cook, 4 touches for 6 yards. After having a big game last week, they seem to go away from him this week. Singletary only ran it for 8 times. So outside of Josh, who ran it for 10 times, we ran the ball 14 times. And in a game like this, right, in a game with weather, this is where you want to run the ball. And so, right. I mean, what are your thoughts? What did you see there? Why do you think Cook wasn't as involved? Do you think they were concerned because of the weather that Singletary is less likely to lose the ball? I don't know. What's your thoughts there?
Well, again, it's just a speculation. There's a couple things I want to say. The first one is, like Romo said, they run the wide nines on the defense, so you got to run inside the D ends more. And I think Singletary is more of like a sturdy. Obviously, he is. He's 207. He's a monster. But they thought he might, like you said, he might be able to hold on to the ball better. He's more stocky. He's more tough. He's more built. And they didn't really feel like Cook could do it. I mean, he got a couple carries. He had one. I think he had one nice run, but I agree. We should. I messaged you guys even in the first quarter. I was like, why are we throwing the ball 40 plus yards down the field every play when it's raining and snowing at the same exact time? Why aren't you running the ball once in a while? I don't want to be too obvious where run, or pass or run on first down every time, or you got to mix it up. But you got to run the ball in these situations. The Jets were trying to run the ball, and minus one or two good runs by Bam Knight, they didn't really run the ball good at all. We stopped them we did a very good job in the run defense another time again, after they beat us with the run last time. So again, I was thinking we should have ran the ball more, not just, I mean, Singletary busted out 2 or 3 good runs. At least 2 of them were 10 plus yards. I believe, Mike, you could check on that, but he was averaging 4.9 a carry. He was 8 for 39, I believe.
Yeah, you nailed it. 8 for 39, 4.9.
He wasn't doing bad.
No.
And of course, Josh running the ball was awesome. But in the early game, I thought we should have stepped away from trying to pass the ball 40 yards down the field and run the ball and take what the defense gives you. But I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell what they want to do with Cook, because one day he'll get 20 touches and you give him 4.
Yeah.
Got to give him the ball a little bit. I mean, he's proven he can do stuff. But again, that's just like where we're confused with what Dorsey. Again, I like Dorsey, but you don't want to give Diggs the ball constantly. You give one person a lot of game one week, and then next week he barely plays. It's hard to believe that it's a matchup thing. I don't know, but maybe it is. Maybe Dorsey felt in this matchup with the Jets defense that Singletary was a better option. But
that's weird. I mean, you would think. I mean, so we did so well last week in the run game, and it's like this is a game you really needed it. And when Quinnen Williams went out, why didn't you go to that more? That's the only thing that really baffled me, right? And I'm like, I mean, we should be running the ball more, like you said. Josh Allen had 10 for 47 yards. He averaged 4.7. And there was a couple times, though, I will say this. There were some plays, there was some meat left on the bone in some of those run plays. I felt like either the Jets are damn fast on defense, because there was a couple plays, I think, on the Josh Allen sweep. I think one of the McKenzie plays where he went to the right. The Jets just closed the gap. I'm like, this is going to go for big yards. And he just closed it quickly. But, yeah, more running. I would have loved to see in this type of game more running. So, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Brett.
That 3rd and 3 where Josh ran and didn't get the first down, I was shocked that they went with a sweep to the left instead of a sweep to the right. And, I mean, I felt like I would have called something different on that play, maybe something up the middle or even something a little bit different. But they decided to call the play to the left, which I was like, why? And I thought maybe that Josh was going to throw a pass, but he didn't, unfortunately. And we weren't able to get the first down. But there was a few plays where I would have loved to have seen more runs, but especially with Josh. But I think that the biggest thing is the Bills weren't able to get the run game going because the Jets defense has only been averaging like 3.9 yards per run. And that's the biggest reason why we went away from the run game in the game instead of going after it. But, I mean, we really didn't have any runs. And I'm really shocked.
Yeah, that Josh Allen run, if he just goes outside, the blocking was there. He was going to have big yardage. He kind of cuts it in a little bit. We got Mike Hart. Mike, good to see you out there again. Make no mistake, this was a very sloppy game by the Bills. They were just the second worst team today. Absolutely. This game could have easily gone either way, but we'll take it. We said that we'll take an ugly win every day, every week. If
over a pretty loss.
Over a pretty loss. Yeah.
Like Kansas City was a pretty loss.
Yeah, for sure.
there's a book out there called Winning Ugly. It's a tennis book. And every time that I think about a Bills win, I'm like, man, I don't know if the Bills players read that book or not or what, but maybe Sean McDermott just gave it out to the players for like Christmas or something like that. Because this season we've been winning ugly since a lot of games.
Yeah, since about week 6, right? After that win against the Chiefs, it's been a different team, different offense. Something seems to be missing. Something's not clicking. I asked this of Josh. I called him Josh. See, I made that mistake. I asked this of Jake yesterday. I'll ask you too. Is this offense better than last year, as good, or do you see it being worse than last year? Because a lot of the same names are there, but what's your thoughts on that offense? Are they better, the same, or worse? I'll throw it to you first, Sean.
Oh, it's definitely worse. I mean, Cole Beasley had 80-something receptions, and as a number 2, Gabe Davis has 30. Like, I mean, just that alone was enough to to change my mind. But we had the potential, and I said it too in the beginning of the year. When you read off the names, McKenzie, Gabe Davis, Diggs, Knox, Singletary, it sounds like a really great offense, right? But when you really think about it, the only really good player besides Josh is Diggs. Knox is great, but they have to use him for blocking a lot because Spencer Brown's a trash can. And McKenzie's okay, but he's either good or terrible. And Davis, I mean, I don't even know what to say about him anymore. He gets great catches, but when he gets a big 98-yard touchdown, but he's only averaging 3 catches a game as a number 2 receiver. It's just not it. So this offense is definitely they played amazing the first few weeks. And again, I got to give them credit. I got to give Dorsey credit. But as far as personnel and, that situation, I think we're worse. But it does not mean that we can't finish strong and be the offense we have the potential to be. But going into this, Gabe Davis wasn't a proven number 2. McKenzie wasn't a proven number 3. And Knox wasn't a proven tight end 1. He was, but not as like what he got paid for. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I love Knox. I think Knox is incredible. It's just how we have to use him now. But can we be a better offense than last year? I think so. But it all has to be Dorsey coming into his own, figuring out what works for him in the offense. He's got to know his personnel. That's the other thing. Daboll, not that he was better. I think Daboll got too much credit for Josh, and I think Daboll got too much credit for the Giants. But he knew the personnel a little bit more because he was working with them as the OC for years. Dorsey was a quarterback coach, but he wasn't handling the offense like that. So he'll learn what everybody's drives in, what everybody's great in, and then he'll turn it on maybe in the playoffs. But I mean, I can't say that they're better. Maybe not. I'm gonna say worse, but I won't argue with you if you say they're the same.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. I'm gonna say they're about the same. After the 13-second game, right? I know you didn't, Sean, but most of us were like, Gabe Davis is the next coming of Stephon Diggs. We got a true wide receiver number 2. And that just hasn't been the case. Actually, he started off like that, right? In that game against the Rams, had a fantastic game. And a couple other games that he lit it up on. I think he the one that had that 98-yard touchdown, I think, early in the season. So he's had those big play moments. But, yeah, it just hasn't panned out like we thought it was going to. We do miss Beasley. And then we have McKenzie. So compare Beasley to McKenzie. Beasley, he's not dropping those balls today. Not at all. Yeah. McKenzie's been solid at times, but in a critical situation like today. But we've seen games where he's just made mistakes. And dropping those 2 balls were big. Those were very, very catchable balls. So I have to put them right about the same. Brett, what do you think? They as good? Worse?
I think they're about the same, I would say. Okay. I think the biggest thing is missing, like we said, Cole Beasley in the slot. I mean, that's a security blanket for Josh to be able to go to. And, I mean, there's so many times last season where Josh, when it was 3rd and short, you knew the ball was going to Cole Beasley, and it didn't matter where he was. He was like 7-11. He was always open. And I swear it seems like this season we don't have that security blanket for Josh in the middle. And you can see what the difference in the offense has been for the Bills. And I know there's a comment from Mike Hart. I do think that sometimes you're going to have to play Shakir in the slot. And
I've been waiting.
I mean, I'm waiting for that too, because there's games where they're going up against zone coverage, and I feel like the zone coverage benefits Shakir more than it does in coverage with Isaiah McKenzie. So I would love to see Shakir get more catches in the middle, but that's the thing that I've noticed since Jamison Crowder has been gone is Buffalo doesn't have that security blanket in the slot. And when we did have him out there, it was night and day better when it was zone coverage with Jamison Crowder and you had man coverage with Isaiah McKenzie. Because in man coverage, I think that Isaiah McKenzie can beat no matter who is out there in the cornerback position, he'll beat him. When it's zone coverage, he does not do the same thing. He has way worse games when it's zone coverage, and it's a different offense. So we got to get Shakir out there being able to utilize him. As for the run game, I think the run game's gotten better this year compared to last year.
Yeah,
and I mean, I got to say that that's the piece that's changed the most is we're able to get the run game going. I would have said at the start of the season it regressed, but overall throughout the whole entire season, it has gotten better. And I would say the offensive line, I would say they've gotten slightly better than last year. And Sean, you may kill me for saying that, but I do think that overall with the depth that we've had this season, it's made a big difference in what we've had compared to last season. So I think there's two areas that we've improved on, but definitely the quarterback play, people are going to kill me. Bills Mafia, don't kill me for saying this, but the quarterback play has regressed since last year. And I do think that Josh is going to get better as the season goes on, but I do think that the passing game has struggled a little bit, but I think that we're starting to come into our own a little bit more. And the amount of touchdowns that we've had overall in the run game, especially with Josh, I mean, this is the 5th season that he's had 6 rushing touchdowns in his career. And I think he's like the only quarterback that's had 6 rushing touchdowns in his career. There's a few stats that I saw where Josh is like, has gotten some awards for this, but it's incredible to see what the Bills have done on offense overall. So I say slightly better than last season, in my opinion.
I'm going to say, I kind of disagree a little bit on the run game with you. I wish we had the stats from last year to this year. I will tell you this. Last year, after the overtime loss to the Buccaneers, the running game changed. They decided finally to use Singletary as their main back, and that started working. And then there were some other combinations on the offensive line that came together, and it got better. But we're so inconsistent. I can't say I don't know if we're better than last year. We thought we'd be better, but again, you could be right. I could look at the numbers and be like, "Wow, yeah, we're much better." But I don't know. It doesn't feel like it because we have a game like last week, and then a game where we really need it when they lose Quinn and Williams, and we can't run the ball. I don't know.
I just think that it started a little bit earlier this season where the run game's starting to get going compared to last season. And I would say that the Tampa Bay game was the difference where we were able to establish the run. And I just feel like this season it was a little bit earlier. We were able to get James Cook involved a little bit more. And, I mean, we finally have that two-headed tandem that we've been missing over the last few years.
Yeah, that's fair. And I want to, Big Al, thank you for bringing this up. This is a huge point right here. We really miss Reggie Gilliam for blocking. So what did we have last week? We had Gilliam. This week we don't have him. I know we tried to replicate with Quentin Morris. That didn't seem to work out. But yeah, I think that was a big piece this week, missing him. So I totally agree. Mike Hart, listen, Shakir,
please,
as a highlight reel. I mean, the man has amazing hands. He can catch the ball, get those 50-50 balls. I'm going to tell you this. If those 2 balls that McKenzie dropped are thrown to him, he catches those balls. We got to get him out there more. He's been, I don't know how many snap count we see him on the field for, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
It's like 15%.
Well, don't forget, he's a rookie that's not named Greg Rousseau. So he's never going to really get ample playing time to improve his game. So next year he could be even better. And, again, I'm not a coach. I'm not professional, but it just makes sense. And you can't even argue it, I don't think, that practice doesn't give you what game reps gives you. There's no reason why Shakir shouldn't be playing. And, what do you know? Who's doing good with the Giants right now? Isaiah Hodgins. Who's scoring red zone touchdowns? Isaiah Hodgins. And what have I been saying for the whole entire year? Why is Kumaro over him? Why is he not playing even when Kumaro's hurt? Why is he not getting reps during the game? And then what do you know? Freaking Daboll goes and grabs him. Now he's benefiting the Giants, even though the Giants, they're finally coming back down to earth. But Hodgins is being used. They have Daniel Jones throwing him touchdowns. You're telling me Josh Allen couldn't have made Isaiah Hodgins into a better player than what Daniel Jones is doing? Like, it's just so frustrating seeing that. I mean, again, I called it. The Hodgins was going to go to a different team and make an impact, and he did.
You did. I can confirm that 100%.
And I'm missing Cody Ford too, man. Honestly, I mean, people say he was like the worst thing ever, but you must have never watched Spencer Brown play football, and you can even argue that Bates is playing worse than Cody Ford. And I hope people see this and want to argue that, because I'd be more than happy to go to war for that. But yeah, Mike Cardo agrees with me. Keeping Kumaro and cutting Hodgins was ridiculous. I got the special teams aspect, but you could have kept both, and they chose not to. You could have kept both. You chose not to. Kumaro's been on IR twice now. You could have brought him up, but you didn't. You chose not to, and now he's gone. And now we have 4 receivers on the active roster. You can only call up John Brown one more time before you sign him. So are they going to sign him, or are they just going to let him walk? I don't know.
Big L and Mike, you got to call Jinx, because you both said it at the same time. Blackshear also had a good game today. So, yeah, that was another one that I did not like to see us lose. But good for them. I'm happy for both Hodgins. I always say Hodgkins. It's Hodgins and Blackshear. So I'm happy that they're both getting a chance now and showing what Sean Hodgins for sure is doing everything that Sean said he would do if we were to lose him. So perfect call there, Sean, on that one. Let's see here. We've talked about a lot. Let's see. Let me get this off the screen real quick. And I'm feeling good. I don't know about how you guys are, but I do want to get into kind of like player of the games. Like, let's give out who we think are the candidates for the player of the game. It's only going to be one person. We can all give a different one, but let's throw out some candidates. So, Sean, I'll start with you. Could be a candidate. You can give me candidates on both offense and defense. Give me your candidates for the MVP of this game.
Can I give the worst player ever step on a football field award? Now for defense, I want to say Rousseau, but I know you guys want to say Rousseau, so I'll just say Hamlin, because I know the other one of you will say Milano. I'll say Hamlin just because he punched that ball out and it essentially saved us. Offensively, gonna have to say Dawson Knox, because that was a great drive. It was a great touchdown. Could have got seriously injured with that flip, but I'll give it to Dawson Knox and I'll give it to DeMar Hamlin. But my first choice would have been Rousseau. But I'll let you guys, decide Rousseau and probably Milano. So I'll say Hamlin and Knox.
All right. Let me throw it to you, Brett.
Oh, man. Sean, you couldn't have picked 2 better players right there. But for me, offense, I mean, you got to go with either Dawson Knox or Josh Allen, one of the 2 of them. So I'm going to take Josh Allen overall, just because the 2 touchdowns that he had. And then on defense, I got to say Greg Rousseau. I mean, the 2 sacks that he had and being able to step up in the place of Von Miller. And I felt like it was really cool that the defensive line was wearing those Von Miller shirts before the game. And it just gave you that identity for why you're playing and the reason that the next player needs to step up. And the defensive line overall, every single player on the defensive line played excellent. But the one that stood out for me was Greg Rousseau. And if you give me 1 second, I'm going to grab something that's really important. He also has something that's important to me, but I don't know if you can see it in the screen, but I have a Greg Rousseau autographed helmet from him. So I was able to meet him and Batavia Downs when he was there last year, but he was definitely the player of the game for me, in my opinion.
Okay. So for me, I know we always try to stay because Josh Allen's kind of like an obvious person, right? But I really think in this game, I mean, he threw for a touchdown, he ran for a touchdown. It wasn't the numbers we're usually used to. We're used to him putting up much more, but he was mistake free. And if you remember in the first Jets game, he threw two bad interceptions, which really cost us the game. So I'm going to put Josh on offense because honestly, the only other guy I would put on offense besides Josh would be Bass. And I'm not, that's special teams, but seriously, it was pretty ugly on the offensive side of things. But Josh was the guy, so I'm gonna give him he's gonna be a candidate there. And then on the defense, I think you said what do you guys said Milano, right? You threw
No, I said Hamlin, and I would have chose Groot and Milano, but I thought you guys would pick one of the two, so I left it for you.
And Brett, you chose Groot, right? So I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna give Milano, of course. So out there in the best hurdle, Allen or Knox? Ooh, that's a good question. Knox, yeah, I would say Knox because we don't see a lot of that from Knox.
And it was a touchdown. I mean, Josh's was insane, but I mean Knox, he had to make that. This could win the game here, and he jumped over. He was almost short, but
I know, right? I thought they were going to review it and pull him back a little bit, but the way he flipped, it just landed perfectly on the goal line.
They're both solid 10 out of 10, but
yeah,
I'm gonna pick Knox.
All right, so we had the
Josh.
Yeah. What's that? Go ahead.
I'm going to say Josh, just because of the 360. That's the biggest thing, and I feel like it sparked the offense. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. That's true.
Yeah. So let me ask the channel. And by the way, there's some folks out there in the channel. Say hi to us. We love to meet new people. I feel like most of you we know, but there's always someone out there who's being quiet, afraid to say something. Whether you're a Bills fan, a Jets fan, or any fan, say hello. We love the reason why all of us like to do these shows is to meet new people. So tell us who you are, where you're from. Smash that subscribe button for us. Add a comment. Give us a like. We greatly appreciate it. It's good to see everyone out there. These interactions, the live chats, are what make the show so much fun.
Yeah.
So we got to get now. So I got to ask the channel, who's your MVP? Can only be one. Who's your MVP of this game? We'll give them a few seconds, and then we'll go around the horn. So, Sean, your MVP. Only one. Who's getting it today? Rousseau. Even though, let me just throw some data out there. He only had 2 on a stat line. He only had the where is he? Here he is. So he had 2 tackles and 2 sacks. You going over Rousseau still?
Yep.
All right.
Because we needed a guy to step up and take control of that D line. He did. I know Brett says he broke contain once, but other than that, I think he did a pretty good job with his assignment. He was doing good enforcing. That's a good word for a defensive lineman as an enforcer.
Yeah.
I thought he did a great job pushing up the running backs inside, even though he didn't get the tackle. But that one sack was a strip sack, and it only led to 3 points, so it should have been a touchdown, but we settled for a field goal. But I mean, he stepped up. We needed him to, and that's what we've been wanting to see from him. A couple sacks, couple meaningful sacks during the game, and gotta give it to him. We needed him big time.
Okay, Epinesa knocked the ball down. Okay, so I was looking. I thought it was Rousseau who at the end of the game, I thought that knocked the ball down. I was going to say it was Rousseau, but it was actually Epinesa.
Yeah. Oh,
all right.
Rousseau had his first sack and a deflection in the same drive.
Nice. Okay, fair. MVP Rousseau from Sean. Brett, who are you giving it to?
We're gonna keep it short and sweet. It's got to be Greg Rousseau. I feel like he was the difference in this game. It's his 3rd career multi-sack game in his short career that he's been in Buffalo, but he was able to notch that. So I have to give it to Greg Rousseau.
Mike Hart brought up a good point here. He absolutely did. He had a forced fumble that the Bills recovered. So I was going to go elsewhere, but because you just reminded me of that, Mike, I'm going to say Rousseau. So it is a clean sweep for Rousseau, MVP of the game. And what do we got going on here? So Chargers 20, Dolphins 14. What quarter are we in that game, Big Al?
Third
quarter.
Tua's 4 for 18 now, but he threw a 60-yard touchdown. I don't know what happened on the touchdown. My phone died, but they've been not looking good. I mean, that one picked up a fumble that should have been a fumble, recovered and took it for a 60-yard touchdown, and then he threw a 60-yard touchdown. So other than those two plays, they're not looking like they want to fight for the AFC East title. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, there's plenty of
Banged
time.
up. The Chargers are the most hurt team in the entire NFL this year. They're number one with most injured players, and you got to beat them. They say Herbert's not as good as Tua anymore. They say Tua's the man. Don't lose to him. Don't lose to Herbert if he's not the guy.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's 4 minutes left. They still have plenty of time, and they got the ball. So it's going to be a fun one to watch the last quarter for sure.
Oh, yeah,
I said for sure that the traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast was going to be the biggest thing. And when we did our picks before, my father and I, we were talking about that, and I said, teams don't really travel over to the West Coast very well. And I know that we're doing this East Coast and West Coast show, and I feel like the difference between us is we're able to all gel together. But, I mean, man, the difference in the 3-hour time zone change, it's big for these players, and they're not able to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we said everything on the Bills, but we're talking about the Dolphins, and that's who we play. It was flexed to a primetime game next Saturday night. It is the third of 3 games on Saturday, and this is going to be a huge game. I mean, it really depends a lot. No matter what the outcome of this is, it's still an extremely important game. If the Dolphins lose, we're now 2 games up, right, with 4 games to go. I like our chances, but we need to sweep. We need to sweep out, finish out this year, win all 4, because that's the only way we can guarantee the number 1 seed, which we want desperately. We really want it. I want Kansas City or whoever to come to Buffalo. I really do. I'm tired of going to Kansas City in the playoffs. Just tired of it. But Sean, let's just kind of wrap it up with talking a little bit about the Miami coming up next week. They haven't been looking too good this game, but they're still in it. And last week they looked pretty bad against that strong San Francisco 49er team. I mean, have you been a fan of Tua, or you been, you have not really been.
I don't hate anybody, but he's improved obviously, but there has to be context to it. The games he's done good were against the Texans, the Lions, the Bears, Pittsburgh, and another bad team. Who was it? In that 5-game win streak. Lions, Bears, Texans, Pittsburgh.
Lions, Tigers, Bears. Oh my!
Yeah, basically that's what it was, right? And he destroyed those bad teams, the Browns. So the Browns, they fought in games, but they were like what, the 31st ranked defense, total defense, and then you get a chance in San Francisco, and then he does terrible. He gets a chance in the Chargers, he's 4 for 18, terrible. So he's played well against really terrible teams, and he's played average to below average against good teams. He played average against us. He had 186 passing yards and 1 touchdown. And the secondary was there was one game started in all 4 of those positions in their career. So he didn't really do that good against us either. So, I mean, he's improved, but he's not anything that we should be worried about when we got 17 at the helm. He's definitely an improved player, but I will say this. Right now, the 49ers figured it out. They dropped their linebackers back into coverage farther than typical because Tua is usually throwing in the middle of the field. When you're doing that, it forces Tua to throw it over the linebacker but underneath the safety. He struggled with that, and he's struggling with it today, 2 games in a row. Josh mentioned when he was growing, the book always changes. You have to change with it. Now, Tua has got one thing he had to change. He did good against these bad teams. Now he's got to change. Oh, what am I going to do now? They're taking away what I do great. Now he has to evolve even more. So this is where you find out: is he going to evolve or not? Are we going to do what the last 2 teams have done to him, or are we going to play the same defense we always play? That's what we're going to find out. Are the Bills going to play what the Niners did and what the Chargers did? Or are we going to stick to the basic defense we always run and not change out of it and not worry about it? I think we should, because obviously Tua's been struggling with it. And if he continues to struggle with it and can't beat it, you should do it until he beats it. But definitely improved. I don't hate the guy. I think he's a very nice guy. I think he's a very humble guy, very respectful guy. But he's not the MVP hype that they're saying. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I agree there. I think, to your point, Sean, history has shown that Bills are stubborn when it comes to changing their scheme. I don't think they're going to do what they've seen being successful in the last couple of weeks. You would think it's an obvious thing to do, but we say that all the time. We're like, why can't we take TJ out, Taron Johnson out? Let's put that third linebacker. This doesn't happen.
Nothing's obvious with them.
They're stubborn. That's true. They're stubborn. Anyhow, good stuff. I do hope that you're able to talk to Nando.
Yeah, I got to get a
see
hold
if
of
we can
him.
get him on for that show.
Yeah.
For the pregame. That'd be fun because I like the kid. He has a lot of good things to say.
I know. I miss him. He's been super busy. We haven't been able to do weekly picks, but I'm going to call him again this week and say that we got my friends that want you to jump on. He's an awesome guy. He's very respectful.
Yeah,
knows his stuff. He is a Tua supporter, so hopefully he didn't hear that and doesn't like me now. But it's all out of love and respect, and he's great. Subscribe to Nando Talk if you haven't yet. But I'm going to call him this week. He's still doing his school and work and everything, so it's been hard to get videos out this week with last couple of weeks with him with the holidays and everything. But I'm going to call him, and if you're watching Nando, I'm going to be calling you, and then we're going to set up a date for a pregame show.
You haven't done a show with Jay Spence lately. Has he just been super busy?
I talked to him today too, and I was like, dude, we got to get talking again. He said, yeah, let me know, because his shows, he books them out like the year prior.
Oh, that's right.
So he already has like his place that are already out. So like week 17, he's got this person. Week 16, so it's basically like I got to let him know what I got available, and if he can jump on, he will. But message him today too, so hopefully we'll get one with him as well.
All right, let me throw it to you, Brett, and I have a question for you, and I'll go back to Sean with the same question. But talk to the folks about where they can find you and when do you put on your shows typically? And then my question for you is: anyone going to be able to beat the Eagles in the NFC?
I'll start with the Eagles question. The only team that I can think of that could beat them, there's two actually, is Dallas right now, or even Dallas, maybe the 49ers, but I just don't see the offense being able to do it, especially losing Deebo Samuel. Or the third choice that I had was the Minnesota Vikings, but I just don't think the Minnesota Vikings have the defense to beat them. So, I mean, if I had to put one team out there, I'm going to say Dallas. And that's going to be a tough matchup. I think that's going to be the one that could decide the who comes out of the division round or even the conference championship game. So I got to say them, but I don't know. I feel like the Eagles are going to come out of it all the way, and they're going to be the team to beat in the NFC, but they have had a couple of games where they've struggled. So
that's big news, man. I did not know, and I'm just looking it up right now. Deebo Samuel carted off after brutal ankle injury. So last week they lose Jimmy G, and now they lose Deebo. Those are huge, huge losses. I don't know if they can overcome those. They have a very good defense, but I don't know if it's enough to overcome. Like you said, we do have somebody out there who looks like they're a Eagle fan. Jason.
I'll be right back.
Finally, some Eagles recognition. I mean,
he's been an Eagles fan. Like, I feel like there's a lot of Eagles fans out there that aren't true Eagles fans. But since we were, like 8 years old, 9 years old, my little friends were like, "Fly, Eagles, fly!" They were always supporting the Eagles. So he's a true Eagles fan. And to answer that question, I think with division rivals as well, I think the Cowboys would be the match where I could see them losing because division matches are always tough. But my only worry for the Eagles is the end of their schedule is a little bit easier. So like going into the playoffs, I feel like I would rather have them have a tougher game near the end so they get like kind of ready for the playoffs, because they might be going into it like 16-1 or 15-2. You know what I mean? So it's like, I know for the Bills, I want them to play like we got Cincinnati at the end. So like I love that. because you're playing like a playoff game right before you get into the playoffs. So the Eagles will probably have a bye, and then like they finish with like the Giants and like the Colts and the Texans. So it's like not the Colts, but the Giants, Texans, and someone else. So it's like I would prefer if I was them to have a tougher game near the end, so you can get kind of playoff ready, because they're just gonna like smoke these teams without like, you know what I mean? But I mean they're looking great on all facets of the game: offense, defense, special teams. Jalen Hurts, I mean, this guy's been incredible. He's like a Josh Allen type where his first year he was like 50% completion. People were doubting him. He started to get a chance to grow. You give him a good receiver, and then now he's showing that he can, you know, be a top quarterback in the league. But
yeah,
I mean, it's good. The NFC is going to be fun because I could see right now Dallas will probably be the 5 seed because they could even finish like 14-3 and still get a 5 seed. Yep. But I could see the 7th seed beating the Vikings. I could see the 6th seed beating another team. So then if Dallas wins against the Bucs or the Falcons or the Panthers, the Eagles would play the other team, and then they might play Dallas in the championship. That's what I want to see. I want to see Dallas Eagles in the championship.
I can't believe Dallas almost regressed and lost to the Houston Texans.
Hey, well, I will say everybody's got rough games, and you know, like I told my buddy today, they didn't play their best, but they still came out with it. At least they didn't lose. I mean, when we played our worst game against the Jets, we lost. If we would have won that game, I would have been like, thank God. We played terrible, but thank God. But I mean, sometimes they're tough like that. But
here's
my Sunday. It would have been awful. It would have been terrible if they lost that game for sure.
Yeah.
Here's my fear of the Eagles. You know, in the 90s when we went to 4 straight Super Bowls, you know who we lost to, right? Twice to the Cowboys, once to the Giants, once to the Washington Redskins at that time. Now they're the Commanders. If we go to Eagles, you know what the storyline is. The NFC East has had our number, and damn, it would crush my soul if we lose to another NFC East team. It really would.
Have to beat them.
I know. I do like somebody had said earlier, it's like, hey, the possibility of meeting Tom Brady in the Super Bowl is still a possibility. How sad is it in the NFC East that they're 6-7 and in first place, probably going to win that division maybe with a 500 record. It's just, and then you got the Cowboys at 14-3, like you said, they could finish 14-3, and then you have the Buccaneers finishing maybe, I don't know, 8-9, 9-8, and the Cowboys. It's crazy stuff.
If you were to look at these divisions in the NFC, who would have thought that the NFC South would be the division that finished at 500 or even with a losing record? If I would have guessed, I would have said the NFC East easily with Dallas and the Eagles and Commanders and even the Giants. I would have said that somehow, some way that the other teams in that division would be able to beat the each other, and then that would be the division where it would be the division where they came out at maybe 500 or even with a losing record. But it's cool to see that it's a different division this year compared to the last few years where it's been the NFC East.
Yeah. Going to be interesting. I don't know. We'll see. So I think I meant to close it off here. Brett, where can they find you?
Yeah. I just had some final thoughts real quick. I found this interesting stats that were on the Buffalo Bills page, and I just wanted to read them off to the viewers real quick, if that's okay.
Sure. Of course.
Yeah. So the first one was Josh Allen. This is the first quarter. He became the first quarterback in NFL history with 6+ rushing touchdowns in his 5th straight season. The next one was Allen has the most games among all quarterbacks with a pass and a rushing touchdown since 2018 with 24. And Allen tied Steve McNair and Tobin Rote, who each had 37 for the 4th most all-time rushing and touchdowns in their career. And then Stephon Diggs passed Fred Jackson for 5th place in overall with the Bills with receptions, and got Chandler's record where he had 17 touchdowns was tied with Dawson Knox now for 3rd most all time by a tight end.
That's awesome.
So some interesting stats.
Cool. Yeah, that is. All right, sir. So tell
Yes.
the folks where they find you, man.
Yes, sir.
Because you're blowing up the internet right now. I'm serious. You got a
dang.
website. You got everything going on.
Trying to, but been busy. So you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter, and then on our website, the GoBillsPodcast.com. Trying to keep that updated as much as possible. You can find all our upcoming shows that we're doing throughout the week. I will have shows going on. Our pregame show, we're going to try and do that on Tuesday nights. I'm going to try and do that with Dollar or Less Food this week because he's a huge Miami Dolphins fan, and we have a bet going on right now where if the Bills are swept by the Dolphins, I have to wear a Miami Dolphins jersey. So I'm praying to God that the Bills will beat them and we can become 2-2 in our division. I don't have to wear that jersey because I don't want to wear that green color on. I already had to wear a New York Jets color that was off camera that I did that one. But I'm praying to God that I don't have to wear the green Miami Dolphins jersey. But I'm going to try and have him on Tuesday. And then maybe Friday, we're going to try and do something with Chill Still Bills where we've done this virtual reality system that he had. And it's one of a kind that they've done. And it's called the universe that they created. It's called like a universe. And it's awesome to see. So I'm going to try and get him on as well for another pregame show that we'll do on Friday night. Then we'll have our pregame show on Sunday, as well as our halftime show. Hopefully we can all do that together. I'd love to have everybody on, as well as our postgame show, doing that together with you guys. So going to stay busy throughout the week.
Nice. Very nice. Sean, I don't know, but tell the folks where they can find you and the shows that you got going. And you do have a cool new channel as well. So tell them all about that.
Yeah, so Red, White, and Bills, of course. I'm sure you guys all know me and maybe subscribe by now because I've been with Mike and Brett and Jake for a few months now, constantly on your show. And I started it's a card opening channel. It's mainly Yu-Gi-Oh, but it could be Pokemon, sports. But it's called Yugi, as YUGI Godo, as in the animal goat, greatest of all time. You can find me on that. It's my card opening channel. Just started a couple weeks ago. And then, of course, Red, White, and Bills. Post-game, pre-game, updated news. If something goes crazy, try to do weekly picks when my buddy Nando and I both fit our schedule. So that's a great show. We got to tune into that. And, yeah, come check me out. I really appreciate it. None of us can do any of this stuff without you guys. So support is well appreciated. All it takes is clicking a button. And then you did enough to support us, and really appreciate that.
And Sean, I like what you always say. If you're not subscribing to our channels, what the heck? What are you doing?
Yeah, that's right.
What are you doing, right? Yeah. I love how you say that. I got to say this. I love sports cards. I was a collector back in the day, not so much after they saturated the market, but I still love watching those shows. And I love when I'm watching your show there because I don't know much about the Pokemon card. I do know my son plays Pokemon. But I don't know much about the cards, but you can tell the excitement in your voice when you've hit something. And those cards are actually those cards are beautiful. But when you open, right, those cards are absolutely beautiful. So it's a fun show to watch. Like I said, I'm not much into the Pokemon collecting, but I am in the sports cards. So, but any cards opening is always fun. You're always like, is he gonna get that one? Is he gonna get that rare card? Is he gonna do it? And so I always love your reaction and that stuff. So check out that. It's a lot of fun. All right, guys, I think that kind of does it. We're about 2 hours in our normal conversations on a post-game show. I think we covered pretty much everything. Big win for the Bills, 10-3, top of the AFC, one game at a time. Next week, it's Miami on Saturday night. Remember, they flexed it to prime time. So it's the third of 3 games next Saturday in Buffalo. Super excited about that. Let's get that W, and then let's go. Anyway, thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. Always thank you out in the channel. Have a fantastic week. By the way, I'm sorry, Mike Hart, you did say any predictions. I'm going to keep the predictions to our pregame show. I don't want to throw something out there right now because usually I'll do my research and then I'll give you a prediction. So he's saying the Bills kill the Dolphins. Let's hope they do, but we'll see. We'll hold off on our predictions. So catch our pregame shows for those predictions. Anyhow, everyone, have a great one. Thank you so much. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Thank you.